Preface. This report reflects the evidence gathered thus far by the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, in coordination with the Committee on Oversight and Reform and the Committee on Foreign Affairs, as part of the House of Representatives impeachment inquiry into Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States. The report is the culmination of an investigation that began in September 2019 and intensified over the past 3 months as new revelations and evidence of the President's misconduct towards Ukraine emerged. The committees pursued the truth vigorously, but fairly, ensuring the full participation of both parties throughout the probe. Sustained by the tireless work of more than 3 dozen dedicated staff across the 3 committees, we issued dozens of subpoenas for documents and testimony and took more than 100 hours of deposition testimony from 17 witnesses. To provide the American people the opportunity to learn and evaluate the facts themselves, the Intelligence Committee held 7 public hearings with 12 witnesses, including 3 requested by the Republican minority that totaled more than 30 hours. In his farewell address, President George Washington warned of a moment when cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterwards the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. The framers of the Constitution well understood that an individual could one day occupy the office of the president who would place his personal or political interests above those of the nation. Having just won hard-fought independence from a king with unbridled authority, they were attuned to the dangers of an executive who lacked fealty to the law and the Constitution. In response, the framers adopted a tool used by the British Parliament for several hundred years to constrain the Crown, the power of impeachment. Unlike in Britain, where impeachment was typically reserved for inferior officers but not the king himself, impeachment in our untested democracy was specifically intended to serve as the ultimate form of accountability for a duly elected president. Rather than a mechanism to overturn an election, impeachment was explicitly contemplated as a remedy of last resort for a president who fails to faithfully execute his oath of office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Accordingly, the Constitution confers the power to impeach the president on Congress, stating that the president shall be removed from office upon conviction for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. While the constitutional standard for removal from office is justly a high one, it is nonetheless an essential check and balance on the authority of the occupant of the office of the president, particularly when that occupant represents a continuing threat to our fundamental democratic norms, values, and laws. Alexander Hamilton explained that impeachment was not designed to cover only criminal violations, but also crimes against the American people. The subjects of its jurisdiction, Hamilton wrote, are those offenses which proceed from the misconduct of public men, or, in other words, from the abuse or violation of some public trust. They are of a nature which may with peculiar propriety be denominated political, as they relate chiefly to injuries done immediately to the society itself. Similarly, future Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court James Wilson, a delegate from Pennsylvania at the Constitutional Convention, distinguished impeachable offenses from those that reside within the sphere of ordinary jurisprudence. As he noted, impeachments are confined to political characters, to political crimes and misdemeanors, and to political punishments. As this report details, the impeachment inquiry has found that President Trump personally and acting through agents within and outside of the U.S. government, solicited the interference of a foreign government, Ukraine, to benefit his re-election. In furtherance of this scheme, President Trump conditioned official acts on a public announcement by the new Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, of politically motivated investigations, including one into President Trump's domestic political opponent. In pressuring President Zelensky to carry out his demand, President Trump withheld a White House meeting desperately sought by the Ukrainian president, and critical U.S. military assistance to fight Russian aggression in eastern Ukraine. The president engaged in this course of conduct for the benefit of his own presidential re-election, to harm the election prospects of a political rival, and to influence our nation's upcoming presidential election to his advantage. In doing so, the president placed his own personal and political interests above the national interests of the United States, sought to undermine the integrity of the U.S. presidential election process, and endangered U.S. national security. At the center of this investigation is the memorandum prepared following President Trump's July 25, 2019, phone call with Ukraine's president, which the White House declassified and released under significant public pressure. The call record alone is stark evidence of misconduct, a demonstration of the president's prioritization of his personal political benefit over the national interest. In response to President Zelensky's appreciation for vital U.S. military assistance, which President Trump froze without explanation, President Trump asked for a favor though, 2 specific investigations designed to assist his re-election efforts. Our investigation determined that this telephone call was neither the start nor the end of President Trump's efforts to bend U.S. foreign policy for his personal gain. Rather, it was a dramatic crescendo within a months-long campaign driven by President Trump in which senior U.S. officials, including the Vice President, the Secretary of State, the Acting Chief of Staff, the Secretary of Energy, and others were either knowledgeable of or active participants in an effort to extract from a foreign nation the personal political benefits sought by the President. The investigation revealed the nature and extent of the President's misconduct, notwithstanding an unprecedented campaign of obstruction by the President and his administration to prevent the committees from obtaining documentary evidence and testimony. A dozen witnesses followed President Trump's orders, defying voluntary requests and lawful subpoenas, and refusing to testify. The White House, Department of State, Department of Defense, Office of Management and Budget, and Department of Energy refused to produce a single document in response to our subpoenas. Ultimately, this sweeping effort to stonewall the House of Representatives' sole power of impeachment under the Constitution failed because witnesses courageously came forward and testified in response to lawful process. The report that follows was only possible because of their sense of duty and devotion to their country and its Constitution. Nevertheless, there remain unanswered questions, and our investigation must continue, even as we transmit our report to the Judiciary Committee. Given the proximate threat of further presidential attempts to solicit foreign interference in our next election, we cannot wait to make our referral until our efforts to obtain additional testimony and documents wind their way through the courts. The evidence of the President's misconduct is overwhelming, and so too is the evidence of his obstruction of Congress. Indeed, it would be hard to imagine a stronger or more complete case of obstruction than that demonstrated by the President since the inquiry began. The damage the President has done to our relationship with a key strategic partner will be remedied over time, and Ukraine continues to enjoy strong bipartisan support in Congress. But the damage to our system of checks and balances, and to the balance of power within our 3 branches of government, will be long-lasting and potentially irrevocable if the President's ability to stonewall Congress goes unchecked. Any future president will feel empowered to resist an investigation into their own wrongdoing, malfeasance, or corruption, and the result will be a nation at far greater risk of all 3. The decision to move forward with an impeachment inquiry is not one we took lightly. Under the best of circumstances, impeachment is a wrenching process for the nation. I resisted calls to undertake an impeachment investigation for many months on that basis, notwithstanding the existence of presidential misconduct that I believe to be deeply unethical and damaging to our democracy. The alarming events and actions detailed in this report, however, left us with no choice but to proceed. In making the decision to move forward, we were struck by the fact that the President's misconduct was not an isolated occurrence, nor was it the product of a naive president. Instead, the efforts to involve Ukraine in our 2020 presidential election were undertaken by a president who himself was elected in 2016 with the benefit of an unprecedented and sweeping campaign of election interference undertaken by Russia in his favor, and which the president welcomed and utilized. Having witnessed the degree to which interference by a foreign power in 2016 harmed our democracy, President Trump cannot credibly claim ignorance to its pernicious effects. Even more pointedly, the president's July call with Ukrainian President Zelensky, in which he solicited an investigation to damage his most feared 2020 opponent, came the day after Special Counsel Robert Mueller testified to Congress about Russia's efforts to damage his 2016 opponent and his urgent warning of the dangers of further foreign interference in the next election. With this backdrop, the solicitation of new foreign intervention was the act of a president unbound, not one chastened by experience. It was the act of a president who viewed himself as unaccountable and determined to use his vast official powers to secure his re-election. This repeated and pervasive threat to our democratic electoral process added urgency to our work. On October 3, 2019, even as our committee was engaged in this inquiry, President Trump publicly declared anew that other countries should open investigations into his chief political rival, saying, China should start an investigation into the Bidens, and that President Zelensky, if it were me, I would recommend that they start an investigation into the Bidens. When a reporter asked the president what he hoped Ukraine's president would do following the July 25 call, President Trump, seeking to dispel any doubt as to his continuing intention, responded, well, I would think that, if they were honest about it, they'd start a major investigation into the Bidens. It's a very simple answer. By doubling down on his misconduct and declaring that his July 25 call with President Zelensky was perfect, President Trump has shown a continued willingness to use the power of his office to seek foreign intervention in our next election. His acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, in the course of admitting that the president had linked security assistance to Ukraine to the announcement of one of his desired investigations, told the American people to get over it. In these statements and actions, the president became the author of his own impeachment inquiry. The question presented by the set of facts enumerated in this report may be as simple as that posed by the president and his chief of staff's brazenness. Is the remedy of impeachment warranted for a president who would use the power of his office to coerce foreign interference in a U.S. election, or is that now a mere perk of the office that Americans must simply get over? Those watching the impeachment hearings might have been struck by how little discrepancy there was between the witnesses called by the majority and minority. Indeed, most of the facts presented in the pages that follow are uncontested. The broad outlines as well as many of the details of the president's scheme have been presented by the witnesses with remarkable consistency. There will always be some variation in the testimony of multiple people witnessing the same events, but few of the differences here go to the heart of the matter. And so, it may have been all the more surprising to the public to see very disparate reactions to the testimony by the members of Congress from each party. If there was one ill the founding fathers feared as much as that of an unfit president, it may have been that of excessive factionalism. Although the framers viewed parties as necessary, they also endeavored to structure the new government in such a way as to minimize the violence of faction. As George Washington warned in his farewell address, the common and continual mischiefs of the spirit of party are sufficient to make it the interest and duty of a wise people to discourage and restrain it. Today, we may be witnessing a collision between the power of a remedy meant to curb presidential misconduct and the power of faction determined to defend against the use of that remedy on a president of the same party. But perhaps even more corrosive to our democratic system of governance, the president and his allies are making a comprehensive attack on the very idea of fact and truth. How can a democracy survive without acceptance of a common set of experiences? America remains the beacon of democracy and opportunity for freedom-loving people around the world. From their homes and their jail cells, from their public squares and their refugee camps, from their waking hours until their last breath, individuals fighting human rights abuses, journalists uncovering and exposing corruption, persecuted minorities struggling to survive and preserve their faith, and countless others around the globe just hoping for a better life. Look to America. What we do will determine what they see, and whether America remains a nation committed to the rule of law. As Benjamin Franklin departed the Constitutional Convention, he was asked, "What have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" He responded simply, "A republic, if you can keep it." Adam B. Schiff, Chairman, House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Executive Summary. The impeachment inquiry into Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States, uncovered a months-long effort by President Trump to use the powers of his office to solicit foreign interference on his behalf in the 2020 election. As described in this executive summary and the report that follows, President Trump's scheme subverted U.S. foreign policy toward Ukraine and undermined our national security in favor of two politically motivated investigations that would help his presidential re-election campaign. The president demanded that the newly elected Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, publicly announce investigations into a political rival that he apparently feared the most, former Vice President Joe Biden, and into a discredited theory that it was Ukraine, not Russia, that interfered in the 2016 presidential election. To compel the Ukrainian president to do his political bidding, President Trump conditioned two official acts on the public announcement of the investigations: a coveted White House visit and critical U.S. military assistance Ukraine needed to fight its Russian adversary. During a July 25, 2019, call between President Trump and President Zelensky, President Zelensky expressed gratitude for U.S. military assistance. President Trump immediately responded by asking President Zelensky to do us a favor though, and openly pressed for Ukraine to investigate former Vice President Biden and the 2016 conspiracy theory. In turn, President Zelensky assured President Trump that he would pursue the investigation and reiterated his interest in the White House meeting. Although President Trump's scheme intentionally bypassed many career personnel, it was undertaken with the knowledge and approval of senior administration officials, including the president's acting chief of staff Mick Mulvaney, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and Secretary of Energy Rick Perry. In fact, at a press conference weeks after public revelations about the scheme, Mr. Mulvaney publicly acknowledged that the president directly tied the hold on military aid to his desire to get Ukraine to conduct a political investigation, telling Americans to get over it.